Have you ever wondered about the origins and significance of Excalibur, the legendary sword of King Arthur that has been associated with magical powers and the rightful sovereignty of Britain? If so, you are not alone. Excalibur is one of the most enduring symbols of Arthurian legend, a story that has captivated generations of readers, writers, and artists. In this video, we will explore the history and meaning of Excalibur as it appears in various sources of Arthurian literature and legend. We will also examine its connection to the mythical island of Avalon, where Arthur is said to have been taken after his final battle with Mordred. Our main purpose is to show how Excalibur reflects the values and ideals of Arthurian culture and how it continues to inspire us today. But before we get into it, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And if you want to get notified every time I upload a new video, click the bell icon as well. It really helps me out and I appreciate it a lot. All right, let's get started. What does Excalibur mean and where does it come from? The name of the sword has a long and complex history that can be traced back to the Celtic languages of Britain and Ireland. The earliest form of the name is Caladfulch, which means hard breach or hard cleft in Welsh. This name is also related to the Irish Caladbolg, which means hard lightning or hard belly, and was the name of a sword wielded by the hero Fergus MacRoich in the Ulster cycle of Irish mythology. Both names suggest that the sword was powerful and destructive, capable of splitting rocks and mountains. The name Caladfulch was first used by Geoffrey of Monmouth, a 12th century British cleric and historian who wrote the History of the Kings of Britain, one of the earliest sources of Arthurian legend. Geoffrey wrote in Latin and translated Caladfulch as Caliburnus, which may have been influenced by Latin words for steel or sword such as calibs or calamus. Geoffrey's work was very popular and influential, and it was translated into many languages, including French, which was the language of the court and culture in medieval England. In French, Caliburnus became Calabrum or Calabrun, and later Excalibur. The final form of the name may have been influenced by a wordplay with the Latin phrase excalce liberatus, meaning freed from the stone, which refers to how Arthur obtained the sword in some versions of the legend. How did Excalibur become the legendary sword of King Arthur, and what are some of its features and powers? Excalibur has appeared in many different sources of Arthurian literature and legend, and its origin and role have varied over time and across cultures. In Geoffrey's History of the Kings of Britain, Excalibur is given to Arthur by Merlin, the wizard who advises and guides him. Merlin took the sword from a stone where it was embedded by a previous king, and only the rightful heir of Britain could pull it out. This is how Arthur proved his claim to the throne and became the king of all Britain. However, in later versions of the legend, such as Robert de Boron's Merlin and Thomas Malory's Le Morte d'Arthur, Excalibur is given to Arthur by the Lady of the Lake, a mysterious and magical figure who lives in an enchanted lake. The Lady of the Lake also receives the sword back from Arthur at his death, when he instructs one of his knights, Sir Bedivere, to throw it into the lake. As the sword flies through the air, a hand emerges from the water and catches it, then sinks back into the depths. This symbolizes the end of Arthur's reign and the return of Excalibur to its original source. There are also some variations in the legend, such as Excalibur being Sir Gawain's weapon in Chrétien de Troyes' Conte du Graal, or being loaned to Lancelot by Gawain in the Vulgate cycle and the post-Vulgate cycle. These variations show how different authors and traditions adapted and modified the legend to suit their own purposes and audiences. However, some common features and powers of Excalibur remain consistent throughout most versions of the legend. One of them is its scabbard, which prevents the wearer from losing blood or being wounded. Another is its brightness, which dazzles and blinds its enemies. A third is its sharpness, which cuts through any armor or material. These features and powers reflect Excalibur's status as a divine and magical weapon that grants its owner victory and protection. Excalibur is more than a weapon. It is a symbol steeped in significance. The sword represents Arthur's rightful sovereignty over Britain, bestowed upon him through divine intervention. Additionally, Excalibur is a manifestation of truth and justice, the tenets that King Arthur's reign championed. The sword also symbolizes the bond between Arthur and his knights, who swear to uphold the code of chivalry and protect the weak and innocent. The Round Table, where they sit as equals, is another symbol of their unity and loyalty. Together, they embark on quests and adventures that test their faith, courage, and honor. The sword also symbolizes the fate and destiny of Arthur and his kingdom. The sword in the stone is a sign of Arthur's chosenness and his role as the once and future king. The sword from the lake is a sign of Arthur's connection to the mystical realm of Avalon and his eventual return there. The sword's inscription, "Take me and cast me away," reflects the dual nature of power and responsibility that comes with wielding Excalibur. What is the link between Excalibur and Avalon, the mythical island where Arthur is taken after his final battle with Mordred? Avalon is another important symbol of Arthurian legend, a place of healing and mystery where Arthur may still be alive and waiting to return. The name Avalon comes from the Welsh word afal, meaning apple, and it is often depicted as a paradise full of apple trees and other fruits. However, the origin and meaning of Avalon are not clear and have been subject to various interpretations and speculations. One possible meaning of Avalon is that it is a Celtic name for Glastonbury Tor, a hill in Somerset, England, that has a long and rich history of religious and spiritual significance. According to some legends, Glastonbury Tor was the site of the first Christian church in Britain, founded by Joseph of Arimathea, who brought the Holy Grail with him. The Holy Grail was the cup that Jesus used at the Last Supper and that caught his blood at the crucifixion. It was also the object of the quest of the Knights of the Round Table, who sought it as a source of divine grace and enlightenment. Some legends also claim that Glastonbury Tor was the burial place of King Arthur and his queen Guinevere, and that their graves were discovered during the exhumation of the abbey in 1191. A sword identified as Excalibur was also found among the remains, but its authenticity and whereabouts are unknown. Another possible meaning of Avalon is that it is a reference to a metalworking site, where Excalibur was forged or repaired. Some scholars have suggested that Avalon may be derived from a Celtic word for smith or metal, such as Abel or Abalo. This would imply that Avalon was a place where skilled craftsmen worked with metal and created weapons and tools. This would also explain why Excalibur was associated with Avalon, as it may have been made or enhanced there. Some evidence for this theory comes from the fact that some ancient metalworking sites in Britain were located near water sources, such as rivers or lakes, which were used for cooling and quenching the metal. This could also account for why Avalon was sometimes described as an island or a lake. Excalibur and Avalon have been interpreted and represented in many different ways in modern times, such as in films, novels, cosplay, and LARP. Some examples are the 1981 film Excalibur by John Boorman, which depicts Excalibur as a symbol of power and destiny. The 2004 film King Arthur by Antoine Fuqua, which portrays Excalibur as a Roman sword inherited by Arthur. The 2006 novel The Lost Years of Merlin by T.A. Barron, which imagines Avalon as a magical land where Merlin grows up, and the 2012 TV series Merlin by BBC One, which shows Avalon as a hidden realm where Arthur's body is taken by Merlin. In this video, we have explored the history and significance of Excalibur, the legendary sword of King Arthur. We have seen how Excalibur's name evolved from the Celtic languages of Britain and Ireland, how it appeared in various sources of Arthurian literature and legend, and how it was linked to the mythical island of Avalon. We have also shown how Excalibur reflects the values and ideals of Arthurian culture and how it continues to inspire us today. Excalibur is more than just a sword. It is a symbol of justice, courage, loyalty, and destiny. It is a symbol of the bond between Arthur and his knights, who swore to uphold the code of chivalry and protect the realm. It is a symbol of the hope that Arthur will return one day to restore peace and harmony to Britain. It is a symbol of the magic and mystery that surround the Arthurian legend, a legend that has never ceased to fascinate and enchant us. But is Excalibur real? Did it ever exist? And if so, where is it now? These are questions that may never be answered for sure, but they are also questions that may not matter in the end. What matters is what Excalibur means to us, what it teaches us, and what it inspires us to do. As long as we keep Excalibur in our hearts and minds, we can always find our own way to live up to its legacy. I hope you enjoyed this video on Excalibur, the legendary sword of King Arthur. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more videos on history, mythology, and culture. Also, don't forget to hit the bell icon to get notified when I upload new videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.